Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Series 2, the new series of a sit-down chat with me, Matthew Pullan. I am really excited for this. Like I said in the end of Series 1, I am having guests on, and what a better way to start than with somebody who has a similar cancer to what I had when it all started. You can find out about that in Series 1, Episode 1. Go and have a look at that and like, share, subscribe, do all the good things. So let's get into the chat. This is Heather, somebody that I met a few months ago, or weeks, I don't know. But she reached out to me from a charity, and we've just been talking really, and I find it really weird that we've only just met, considering how similar our paths are. So welcome, Heather.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about ependymomas and stuff because I'll read the definition. It says ependymoma is a very rare type of tumor that starts in the brain or spinal cord, and it can affect both children and adults. So we'll start with, how old were you when you found out?
So I was 20 when I was actually diagnosed, when I had the diagnosis for an ependymoma. But I'd had it since I was 19 because I got diagnosed with a tumour when I was 19,
Yeah.
but they only realised it was an ependymoma later on. But yeah, it's definitely a scary thing at that age, something's being diagnosed with something so significant. And they were saying the whole way along it was so rare, they didn't really know what treatments to offer or any of that.
I mean, they say it's so rare. I had it when I was 3 years old, and it's took me till I'm 18 to meet somebody who's had an ependymoma.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, yeah, it's so nice meeting you because I think a lot of our stories and a lot of our journeys throughout the cancer
Yeah,
journey have been so similar. It's so nice meeting you and being able to relate so much to someone.
I mean, we're kind of different because I remember speaking to you. You said you had it in your spine, nothing in your brain, and I had it in my brain, nothing in the spine.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
I think, yeah, because a lot of our symptoms have probably been similar from that as well.
yeah,
I think a lot of my symptoms were to do with leg weakness and, pain in my leg and in my back and stuff.
yeah.
But yours are probably very different.
What symptoms did you have?
So it first started when in 2019, when I was 19, a tumour actually hemorrhaged. And from there was around a month or something where I had really bad back pain. And my legs they just weren't, I couldn't walk on them properly at all for about a month. And they all kind of just seized up, all the muscles in them seized up. And they think that was from the nerve damage and from the cancer pressing on the nerves. But more recently they kind of have settled. So it's just I'm just left with a bit of back pain and just struggle a bit with my legs and things.
Yeah.
What
Would you say you get like tingling in your feet or something?
Yeah, I get tingling in the back of my right leg, and it's kind of numb, and yeah, it's a bit tingly as well. And there was quite a while where my foot as well, that was quite all tingly. It's like having constant pins and needles, which isn't the nicest feeling.
I mean, I can't imagine. Well, I can imagine because I've recently been diagnosed with a spinal tumor. That it's really hard, isn't it, to like wake up one day and then be like, it's not exactly that you can't feel anything, but it feels different and it's hard to adapt to.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
movement and stuff becomes a bit harder, not because it's actually hard to move, but because of what you're feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it does just affect a lot of your day-to-day life. There were so many things which I almost took for granted. And things like there's difficulties bending down and stuff, and you can't even put on your own socks or shoes anymore. and you are just so much more reliant on other people.
Yeah, I mean, with the brain tumor, I also found that hard, that you kind of lose your independence with it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you've been building that up all your life, and then to have it taken off you is just so hard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I found it difficult as well because like throughout my when I was diagnosed with the tumor, I've been at university for a year, so I just about gained my independence. And then I had to, the summer of 2020, when I was having all my treatment, I had to live back at home and I was completely reliant on my parents again. And all
Yeah.
my independence just completely, it was gone within a matter of a few days.
So it's just hard. I know I have like a disabled bus pass or something. But it's the actual getting to the bus which is the hard thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And especially being similar ages, we know how it feels to like work, and then once you get to the top, to where everybody wants to be university, it's like
Yeah,
you've been working up to that, what now?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't remember much from my ependymoma. You know I've got tumors now and stuff,
Yeah,
but I can't imagine how hard it would be. I know how hard it is with an unknown rare tumor, but at your age, I can't imagine how it would be with, oh, it's an ependymoma, we can't do much for it.
yeah, yeah. Because I think it's a similar thing with you as well. Because yeah, obviously the type you have is so rare at the minute. The type you have is so rare,
Yeah,
and it's just worrying that they don't have all the research into it to be able to definitely
yeah,
say it. 'Cause when they offered me, there was quite a few trials that they've offered me since, and they offered me chemotherapy, but they said to me, they were like, we don't know the research behind it, we don't know if it will help or not, and they were like, it's up to you whether you want to go through that
yeah,
and have all those weeks of being ill and all the side effects of chemotherapy, without it actually making any difference. So it is
yeah,
difficult when they don't really have any idea of the treatments that are going to work best.
yeah. And especially with ependymoma, it's mainly surgery and radiotherapy, I tend to
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, definitely.
It's like you had spinal surgery, right?
Yeah, I had spinal
Yeah.
surgery.
How was
Yeah.
that like the days after?
So the after the initial surgery, there were 3 days where I had to stay lying completely flat,
Yeah,
and I couldn't sit up or I couldn't get up and walk or anything. So I was completely reliant on the nurses around me to do
yeah,
everything, because at that period as well, that was when over summer when we were in the peak of
yeah.
the coronavirus lockdown. So none of my family could actually come and visit.
Oh,
So that was very, very difficult for me, and I had to try and like rebuild my strength and like rebuild my walking again, without any help of my family or anything. And yeah, I just remember the days after just being, and I was on a morphine drip and stuff, but I was
yeah,
just, it was so painful, and I think that was the first ever experience of any treatment for my cancer I'd had before, and it was just so excruciating the whole time after. I found it really difficult.
I mean, I remember trying to learn to walk after my first surgery. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm sure you say it's not easy, is it?
No, it's
No.
just a very weird sensation. Like, I don't know if you had the same thing, but once the 3 days ended, they slowly sat me up and then they tried to get me to walk again. And my brain was just telling my legs,
Yeah,
just walk like normal, like you were doing this 3 days ago.
but you
But my
can't.
legs just weren't cooperating. Yeah, they just weren't listening. They just didn't know what to
Yeah.
do.
I mean, I've told the story about when I tried to learn to walk in an earlier episode about I don't know if you know, I got told to walk to a shop and you get something at the shop. It took it what felt like forever, and then the shop was shut because it was a Sunday. Yeah,
That's frustrating.
you try these little games and they just don't work.
Yeah, no, nothing ever works.
And after, so you had radiotherapy. How did you cope with that? Did you have a mask or anything?
Yeah, so that was also in the coronavirus lockdown. So that was it was about 7 weeks long, and I can't remember if I wore a mask, to be honest. I think I did.
Yeah.
But because I was on my back, so they said it was fine to wear a
Yeah.
mask, but I think if you were face down for it, you had to take it
Yeah.
off. But it was the whole setup of it was very isolated as well because of like the lockdown. You weren't allowed to go in with anyone, so you weren't allowed any
Yeah.
family friends in there, and you had to sit in the car and wait until they called you up when you're ready to go in. So yeah, my experience of radiotherapy was very different from what I've heard from other
Yeah.
people because it's very isolated and you can't meet anyone or can't relate to anyone. Like we've talked about this before, haven't we? Where you
Yeah.
can't. It's so difficult to find people, especially of a similar age, who also are having cancer treatment to be able to relate to someone. I found
Especially
it.
our age, like you said, it's
Yeah,
like you're sat in a room of people that are about 60s, 70s,
yeah,
and you're sat there like you feel like a baby again.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
Like you feel very immature compared to everybody else.
yeah, definitely. You just feel
Al-
very young. Yeah,
Although
and there's
you're
no like,
coping with it better.
yeah, there are no like set areas or anything for like young people, and
There should be.
definitely agree.
I,
I mean,
I mean, I've had different sets of radio. I've had 60 sessions altogether of radio,
oh well,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna have another 20, probably all done by when this comes out. But I want to see how different they all are. Like, well, from when I was 3 years old, the machines have completely changed.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember being, the radiotherapy masks. I
yeah.
remember being one of the first children to get one of them.
Oh,
So
really? Wow.
yeah,
That's fine. Yeah,
and
and it must be different for
that's
you as well.
really advanced, let's say, because I
Yeah,
remember it being horrible.
yeah. It must have, yeah. And your memory of it is probably because you were only 3 at the time.
But yeah,
Your memory of it might be so different now as well.
yeah, it's very
You might not be able
hazy.
to remember like certain bits.
But it was the different machines, definitely, because the one I was on when I was 3, they'd have to physically move the radiation.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it's all done automatically now. It just
It
moves
is
on.
do that. It's like a fun fair in it where it goes wrong.
Yeah. It just moves around. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very, very noisy though.
yeah. It's not as bad as an MRI scan. Let's say that.
No. An
No,
MRI is just completely enclosed, just very claustrophobic, isn't it?
it's like we'll put some music on for you. You can't even hear the music because of how loud the machine is. Yeah, usually it's freezing in the rooms as well for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's to keep the machines so they keep them cool so they stay working or something like that. Do you remember what symptoms you kind of got from when you had radio when you were 3?
When I was 3, no, I can remember from
Yeah.
now it was
Gonna say it's probably
it
too
was
long.
it was tiredness and stuff. And
Yeah.
from when I was 3 years old, I had a growth hormone problem where the pituitary gland was affected by the splash of radiotherapy.
Oh, okay.
So I was on growth hormone until I was diagnosed with another tumor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, they're very more technologically advanced now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they do proton beam and stuff as well, but I've never been offered that.
Okay.
Were you offered that?
No, I wasn't off that at all. No, I haven't
No.
had that.
I mean, we both weren't offered chemotherapy either. So
No, I
we're
think it's
talking
very
about
rare.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
We're
it's quite rare for ependymoma to be offered chemotherapy.
yeah, we're talking about how weird it is because for most other cancers, it's offered straight away.
Yeah.
Then ours, we have radiotherapy. Then they're like, right, you're done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's it.
How did you feel after being told your diagnosis and stuff?
So when I was initially told, it was actually a very strange experience because it was all done over because it was obviously again with coronavirus, it was all done kind of over the internet, and they meant to give us a Zoom call to tell us, but their network was down, so they ended up just calling us up and doing it over the phone. And it was me and my parents were there at the time, and they told us it's a anaplastic ependymoma, which is the type of cancer I had. But obviously back then at the time, the word ependymoma probably to the majority of other people meant absolutely nothing. So they didn't actually specifically say it was cancerous. And it was only when we went to the follow-up meeting to see my oncologist consultant for the first ever time, he then, which was about a week later or something, he then told us there that it was a type of form of cancer. And we sort of assumed before that it might have been, but it was never fully confirmed to us. And we kind of just went off of what Google was saying.
I was about to ask, did you not do any Google?
Yeah, Google it a lot, but it's also the thing as well, you don't want to rely too much on Google and get too bogged thinking you might have cancer and then come back and be like, oh no, it's not cancer. So it was a very weird experience. So my emotions were kind of put on hold that week just to see what they was going to say at the next meeting. And it was only the next meeting that we kind of realized the extent of it, and that was when they started talking about having to have radio, and because I've had to go through IVF as well, because the radio's kind of affected my reproductive system. So it was only then when they started talking about that, it was a very intense meeting, and all the emotions suddenly hit.
And you have to sign all these forms as well, don't you?
God, it's scary. All these consent forms, and
although they say you have a choice, it doesn't feel like you have a choice, does it? It's like it's the only option, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they try and give you options with the treatment, but obviously you know so little about it. You just completely trust them and follow their guidance.
For anybody that doesn't know, an anaplastic ependymoma is a grade 3 tumor, and it grows in the spine, mainly in the base of the brain and rarely in the spinal cord. So you got unlucky.
Very unlucky. It's very, and I think especially in our age group as well, it's just very rare.
It really is. It's like you said you were Googling, but I can't imagine you found much about it.
No, not really. And all the research is very contradictory as well. It was all saying completely different stuff. And I think like the majority of stuff we found was more stuff about the brain, because I think it is more common in the brain. So it was sort of saying the side effects, similar stuff to what you've probably experienced, like balance and things like that, but very different from my symptoms. So you couldn't really, there's not an awful lot on there, which again is the unknown, is just very difficult.
It is, and especially like being given a cancer diagnosis, you immediately think, how long have I got left?
That's the first thing that pops into your head is
like ependymomas usually come back.
They've told me from now on, they've told me that it's definitely going to come back at some point. So they scan every 3 months just to try and keep on top of it. They scan my whole spine and my brain as well, just to try and stay on top of it. But that is a scary thought as well, just knowing that there'll be a meeting at some point in the future where they'll just be like, where it will be bad news. It is definitely,
I was told it'd probably come back, and then something else came.
That typical. That is annoying.
It's something like 15 years or something. And then
what will it return?
And then 14 and a half years later, something goes. I mean, hopefully your scan are they talking about making your scans like longer, like you have 3 months period, then say after 3 months you go for a 6 month scan. And
I think about that. Did they do a similar thing with you?
They gradually moved me on to 3 years.
Because I think they've said the longest they'll do is 6 months. For me, I think it's 3 months at the minute, and I think the longest they'll do is 6 months.
I mean, talking about spinal scans, they take ages
Yeah, they do.
compared to the
Oh,
brain.
2 hours. And
It's also because I'm quite tall. They need to
oh
do
yeah,
me.
so you
They
have
need
longer
to do me in 3 separate sections.
Oh my
So there's
god.
there's different pictures of my spine from different sections.
Yeah.
So a scan can take up to up to 2 hours.
Yeah, mine are around 2 hours too.
Yeah,
Especially when you're so confined and you can't move for the whole 2 hours. It is not the nicest experience.
it's not, and especially what it does heat up in that scanning machine as well.
Yeah. Gets so hot, definitely.
It really does. I remember being at when I was having my scan for my second surgery. They were looking hard in the back, but there was no tumours or anything. But it was the hottest days, like that summer, the really hot 2020, and I think it was like 36 degrees or something.
Oh my god.
And,
That's just not the place you want to be. You just don't want to be stuck in a scan.
and the aircon wasn't working either, so
Oh, oh no.
I came out like stinking so bad.
Nice.
But it's MRI scans don't recommend.
No, they're not enjoyable at all. Especially when you have to have the little, have you had the face thing over?
Yeah.
Where you can't move your face,
Yeah.
so you have to stay completely still.
Yeah. But you get used to them after a while.
Yeah, you've got to.
They become normal, don't worry.
Yeah.
Which people find is like, oh, you're going for a cancer scan. I'm like, it's just what I do.
Yeah, it's just the normal now. Yeah, definitely.
Good plans.
Yeah.
It's like,
do you have to have scans often at the minute from now on?
I'm every month or 3 months now.
Okay.
Since my last tumor, and then I have CT scans every week, and now God knows what they're gonna do, because they need to scan the spine now as well. So I don't know, because they're only scanning the brain because it was in the brain. Then obviously it spreads. So
yeah.
they need to scan the whole lot now.
Hmm.
I'm not looking forward to that.
No, that will take even longer.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with the ependymomics. They said to me, they were like, normally an ependymoma doesn't spread to like the rest of the body. Like it's very, very rare for it to spread to the rest of the body. Like it spreads in the spine and in the brain.
It's just trapped in the central nervous system.
Yeah.
It's like mine's not spread to the bones or anything.
Yeah,
like
no.
just trapped in the CNS, which when we talk about it's like, oh, it's just trapped, that's good. But then you think what the central nervous system does.
Yeah. You don't want it to be trapped in there, really. No.
Exactly. Well,
I think
at least it can't spread anywhere else.
Yeah, true. But I think that's another thing about the diagnosis, because it's probably similar with you with getting it in your brain, and with me getting it in my spine. It's quite scary to think, because that's normally when you hear about cancer stories, you normally hear about that being the last stages when the cancer spreads. It spreads into the brain, or it spreads into the spinal cord, and it's difficult getting the primary diagnosis within it in the brain or in the spinal cord, because it does just feel like a bit of a
and then being told it's going to spread, but we don't know when.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the
all of them not expecting it to spread, and it spreads anyway. So, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to enjoy life until it does.
I'm gonna finish off this podcast with did you ever like think that you had cancer before you did?
So that's an interesting question. Like, so I had the hemorrhage and stuff, and they found the initial tumor. They told me then that they reckon it was benign, and they were like 99% sure. They were saying it's benign, and they were like, we can't be certain until we do an operation, until we do the surgery and take a biopsy. But they didn't want to do that because it was so entangled in all the nerves that they didn't want to risk doing the surgery in case after the surgery I would be paralyzed or there'd be some complication. So I kind of just, for the first few weeks, I kind of just went with that and just kind of, but you have to trust them. And I was just like, okay, it's benign. It's not gonna, they didn't think there would be anything happen for about 20 years or so. And they said maybe after 20 years, there might be a bit of growth, but they were still monitoring it regularly. But then you start to, I think it was around Christmas time, I started to get like inklings that there might be
Yeah.
something with it. And it was just like you pick up on certain things and you just don't feel as well as you did before, or like there were just certain little hints you pick up on. And I think from Christmas onwards I started questioning it. But even then, even once I had the surgery, I still had in my mind that it was benign. So
Yeah.
it did come as a massive shock when they did say it is, it is cancer.
Yeah, because we know our bodies better than everybody else. Like, something's going wrong.
Yeah, I think you do. And I think you can pick up on the really subtle hints that doctors maybe can't tell from scans.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to many people, and they're like, "Yeah, I knew. I knew that I'd get cancer at some stage again. Not because it was a ependymoma, I just knew."
Yeah.
And people think that's awful to think, but when you know, and although it's still hard to get it that it's cancer, you're like, I've been preparing for this.
Yeah. And I think it definitely does soften the blow a bit when you kind of have it in your mind that there is a potential.
And in a way, although it's not a very nice diagnosis, it's hard to live with. At least once you're told, something's going to be done about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what you're dealing with, rather than. I was also told my second tumor what could be. Have you heard of a meningioma, the benign ones?
No, I haven't. No.
So they're benign tumors on your spine and brain. And
okay.
They said it's probably a meningioma. But in my head, I was like, it's cancer.
Yeah. That's similar story to me then.
Like, we know our bodies, and although they know all this stuff, it's us that are going through it and not them.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
So we'll wrap it up there.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
If you'd like to plug in anything now, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think that's good then. Just thank you for having me. And I've really enjoyed talking to you and talking about our experiences. It's been,
This will be the first episode, so she's the first guest. It is very weird how we met, considering you didn't have a clue about the charity that had something in about me.
Yeah. So I saw it originally on Twitter, I think it was actually.
Yeah.
And I got in contact with you through that.
Then you emailed me. No.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I haven't really met anyone with cancer of my age really.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. The first person I kind of properly meet has exactly the same kind of diagnosis as.
Wow! It was wow.
Yeah, it was.
Because I remember speaking to you and being like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be friends with this person because I'm not going to find anybody else.
I know.
Yeah.
Probably only two people of our age. Me.
So thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
I'll just finish the podcast as I usually do.
Cool.
Thank you for coming on, and everyone like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I still hate saying that. And life's terminal, so it's our job to live it.